Dear folks, take your group discussion book, it's in the page number 249, 255. An interesting topic is 62 topic, Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Are they a necessity in India or not? Quite interesting topic, isn't it? A lot of points are there. See, now we have divided our discussion topics into two various points with the various points like 18 points for banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola and 4 in support of Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So, we are giving here some points, and according to that points you can take that points, add some more points and discuss during the group discussion. So, now here the first point is, see, water is very important for a human being. Nearly 75% of our body contains water. A man can live for 10 or more days by drinking water alone. Example, Anna Hazare took water for 13 days. Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies set their plants in rural India and take away the groundwater. So, there is a shortage of water in rural India. So, number first point is, water is very important. 70% of our body contains water. We can live without taking food, but by drinking water alone, and there is a proof called Anna Hazare, 13 days he has lived. So, and these Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies, they take the groundwater and they bring the water shortage. So, they should be banned. This is the first point. Second point, in India, most of the towns and villages are short of water. By closing down these plants, people will get good water. See, now everybody, what do they say? They buy water for 10 rupees, 20 rupees, can water. Almost every place in city, Chennai, in towns and villages, everywhere they buy canned water. So, instead of this, the water which are diverted to Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies can be used by the people for drinking purpose. This is the second point. And the third point is, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are a hazard to the health of the people. They take the water without much purification, add color and chemicals and sell to the people. This is the third point. What is the third point? They add color and sell to the people. It is a hazard, it is a colored water. And why should you give 10 rupees, 30 rupees, 40 rupees for this Pepsi and Coca-Cola? It should be banned. Number fourth point, people cannot live by drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola. These two companies are MNC companies with earning profit alone as their motive. They get a huge profit by selling these products to the people, and they take the profits abroad. So, it is a waste for India and it should be banned. So, people cannot live by drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola alone. These Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are MNC companies. What do? They start their companies, earn their profit and take away to America or take away to UK. So, MNC companies, this is an ordinary thing. Water, add color, selling. So, it is not a big thing, so it should be banned. So, number fifth point, these drinks not only create health related problems, but also they pollute the groundwater, ponds, rivers and lakes. Most of the plants are located in rural areas and they create environmental problems in those areas. Proof, Kerala, one village it has happened. So, what do? They take the groundwater, not only they make the water impure, the groundwater, they also make the ponds, rivers and lakes impure. So, it is an environmental problem. So, they should cancel the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies. Sixth point, the state governments where the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are located should follow Kerala government model. Kerala government banned Coca-Cola company from a village because of its poisonous waste products. Testimony is there. State government on Kerala, they thought this is bad for the village. So, they cancelled. Seventh point, Coke and Pepsi spoil the health of the people. So, the water used to produce these products should be diverted for human consumption. Pepsi and Coca-Cola spoil the health of the body, people. So, it should be diverted for human consumption. People should drink. Of course, Pepsi also, Coke also is used for human consumption, but it is bad for health. So, let people drink the purified water rather than the polluted colored water. So, it should be banned. 8th point, the central government and state government should be blamed for these Pepsi and Coca-Cola products. Government should not give license for these companies to start these products. So, central and government, state government are the two governments which give licenses. First, they should cancel the licenses of Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies. By this we can ban. Number 9th point, agriculture and agriculturists are the backbone of India and they live in villages. Indian agriculturists suffer because of water shortage. Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are MNC companies where the management and staff get salary in lakhs. These companies don't provide enough job opportunities for people because they are machine oriented and not labor oriented factories. Agriculture provides job for the poor people. So, water should be diverted for agriculturists. See, most of the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are started in agriculture areas, that is village areas. So, in village, what happens? These MNC companies, the norm of MNC company is to give salary above 50,000. They don't give salary of 3,000, 4,000. So, what will happen? The fellows who are working in Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are getting a high salary. Are they providing enough employment opportunities for the village people? It's a question mark. No. Why? Pepsi and Coca-Cola are machine oriented companies and not labor oriented companies. So, agriculturists are not benefited. So, why do you want to start a factory in agriculture area, rural areas? So, this is the topic. And 10th point, Pepsi and Coca-Cola contain pesticides. Consumption of these products take the lives of human beings. The government should stop and cancel the business of these companies. So, Pepsi and Coca-Cola has pesticides. Pesticides means killing the pest. So, it should be cancelled, banned. So, next 11th point, Coke and Pepsi has phosphoric acid in it. Phosphoric acid is there. If you put your nail inside these Coke and Pepsi drinks, it will dissolve in 4 to 5 days. You take the nail, put it inside, it will dissolve. And if you put your tooth bone, if you put inside a Pepsi and Coca-Cola, within 2-3 days, it will dissolve. So, number 12, water has the immune power against diseases. If you drink Pepsi and Coke instead of water, then the people will suffer from waterborne diseases. See, in body we have immune capacity by drinking water, but by Pepsi and Coca-Cola it does not increase the immune capacity. Immune power means what? Fighting against the disease. Pepsi and Coca-Cola does not have the strength to fight against the disease. The government should have water purifying plants in each and every village instead of Coke and Pepsi plants. Instead of Coke and Pepsi plants in villages, let the state government and central government start water purifying plants, so the villages will be much benefited. So, these are the 12 points which we have seen here. Now, we are continuing with the 13th point. What is the 13th point given here? Pepsi and Coke companies are profit oriented and they do not have corporate social responsibilities. They spend crores of rupees for advertisement, making the cinema heroes, heroines and leading cricket players as their models and cheat the people. The celebrities should not be models for these companies which cheat the fellow Indians. Celebrities means famous people. See, they are MNC companies. Who? Pepsi and Coca-Cola. What do they do? You see, who comes for the advertisement for Pepsi and Coca-Cola? Nobody else other than greatest actor, the greatest famous cinema actress, the greatest cricket players, and in all cricket matches you find Pepsi, Coca-Cola sponsored by. So, they attract the audience, attract the people by spending crores and crores of money for cinema actors and actresses. So, next point, in some towns and villages we cannot get good water from shops to drink, but Coke and Pepsi are available. You go take any village, you go there, you won't get a cup of water, but you can easily get what? Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So, that is the market intuition they have made, invasion they have made. So, number 15th point, waterborne diseases like cholera. Cholera you get by drinking impure, affect the people because of drinking water, impure water. Water can dissolve all the substances and help digest the food. That is the reasons all organisms in the earth like humans, birds and animals and plants need water. Nearly 70% of the water sources in village, and it affects the animals, birds and plants, etc. Water is used for what? After taking the food, to digest the food we need water. Birds after taking the food, it need water to get digested. And what is that? Birds, animals After taking the food, they need water to get digested. If the water is impure, say imagine a drainage water, all chemicals are there, what will happen? It will spoil the health, he may die. So, the impurity of water should be purified, and that should be concentrated much. So, number 16th point, in the sun kingdom what? Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, all those planets are there. It is scientifically proved the water is available only in Earth. No other planet has water. During summer, we find people suffer due to the shortage of water. We find in India the state government and nations fighting for water. Government of India should ban Pepsi and Coke companies from India because they sell colored water and make huge profit. In Sun Kingdom, only Earth has water. Today, the day before yesterday, we have sent one satellite called the Curiosity to Mars to find out whether there is water. So, only in Earth we have water, that is the scientifically proved. So, water should be saved and protected. 17th point, we should not misuse water and make Pepsi, Coke, Bisleri companies to start their factories in India. Water should be saved and conserved for the future generation. These Coke and Pepsi companies can take the seawater, purify it and make Pepsi and Coke soft drinks rather than using the village water. Let us say to the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies, don't come to village, don't come to town, go near to the sea, take the seawater, purify it by using desalination techniques and make Pepsi and Coca-Cola rather than coming here, because you are MNC companies, you make India great by taking the impure water, seawater, salt water and purify it. So, that is one solution we can bring, and banning Pepsi and Coke companies and its products will bring down the liquor and the liquor consumption of by the people. Liquor needs Pepsi and Coke to be mixed while drinking alcohol. See, my dear friends, any child 17 years, 16 years, 18 years, they are used to drink Pepsi and Coca-Cola. By mixing liquor, brandy or whiskey in Pepsi and Coca-Cola, by the taste of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, he starts taking liquor and he gets addicted because he doesn't love liquor, brandy or whiskey. He loves the taste of Pepsi and Coke. By mixing that, he gets addicted for lifetime. So, we should ban Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and that is the point. And here, why do we support Pepsi and Coca-Cola should be there in India? See, the points are, there are not only Pepsi and Coke companies, we find many dyeing factories, chemical factories and fertilizers, etc. Using pure water for purifying of their products. All the above said companies pollute river water and groundwater. So, banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies doesn't solve water problems. See, the first point, it is not only Pepsi and Coca-Cola. What happens in Tirupur? All the dyeing factories spoil the water, groundwater. All the chemical factories spoiling. So, entire Tirupur inland area, around area is completely destroyed because of the chemical factories. So, Pepsi and Coca-Cola is just a 10% or 15%. So, why to isolate Pepsi and Coca-Cola? We have different companies and those companies are the reason, and not Pepsi and Coca-Cola. We should not ban. So, number 2 point is Pepsi and Coke companies bring good job opportunities for the rural and city people. The wholesaler, retailer get profit and the government gets good amount as tax revenue by excise duty and sales tax. So, my dear friend, by banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola, what happened? Wholesaler, he loses his job, retailer, he loses his job, central government gets production tax, state government gets sales tax. So, all are controlled, all are their income is getting completely their income is gone. So, we should allow Pepsi and Coke companies. So, the third point is Pepsi and Coke companies are multinational companies. Everybody knows it. Pepsi and Coke are American companies. They have branches all around the world. In this globalized economy, if we ban these companies and products, multinational companies will feel hesitant to invest in India. See, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are MNC companies. Suppose if you ban no Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are very famous companies. So, all other MNC people will think, okay, India is bad to invest. So, they will feel hesitant to start their companies in India. So, number 4th point is many of the businessmen and corporate people consume Coke and Pepsi. By banning them, they may suffer. Moreover, during parties and functions, liquor is consumed by mixing with Pepsi and Coke. Consuming liquor without Coke will spoil our liver. 4th point, most of the MNC people, they drink Coke and Pepsi, and moreover in parties and function, it is a norm to mix Pepsi with brandy, whiskey or gin or whatever it is and drink. So, it will save the liver. See, by mixing brandy whiskey with water, your liver gets spoiled. So, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, it postpones the liver getting spoiled. So, Pepsi and Coca-Cola should be there with this for almost 18 points for in support of banning Pepsi and Coke, and 4 points not banning. You should not ban Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So, I just leave it to the floor for the discussion. Let us start the discussion. So, you can add your views, say your points. Yes, sir. What do you want to say your points? Please say your points. Just start.
According to my point, in human being, Pepsi and Coca-Cola not necessary. Pepsi and Coca-Cola drink, you takes it comes to the health, spoil the health. Most of
Okay, you can start.
Dear friends, let me talk about, I'm not going on other side, positive side or negative side. Let me talk what is there, right? So, before I go to Pepsi and Coke, for human being, obviously, 3 factors very important, right? Land, shelter basically, and water, and air. So, these things are mandatory. Even if you take 20 million years back, obviously human being was living with these only, right? So, that is very mandatory, and it should not be kind of polluted. So, I am just restate here. Assume that if you allow any industries, not only Pepsi, Coke, obviously it has pollution. It basically all agricultural land is converted into factory, and similarly water is getting polluted because they dispose all the wastewater, and it spoils the river bird or river water, or even well water, and bore water. Completely water got polluted. And the second one is land, right? All agricultural land is converted into industry air. Once we have the industry, obviously it pollutes the air also because of the smoke and everything. So it is polluting. Okay, it's like other industries, we can allow. Okay, assume for point sake, assume that we are allowing to have Pepsi and Coke. Is it creating any hazard to health? Yes, it is creating. So that we cannot tolerate. Right? End of day, we are paying money, and it has pesticides and phosphoric acid, and it's going to create a hazard to health. This is not acceptable. So that is one of the major point I want to emphasize here. We should not allow that. And other diseases like because of water pollution, cholera or other disease also would spread. Then I want to talk about some more advantage we have, of course, like globalization. When we talk about globalization, obviously we should allow other companies. When we are allowing IT companies, why not Pepsi and Coke, right? Obviously it's like a coin. You have 2 sides to that. So when you allow something, obviously you have some negative. So we need to trade off on those things. So what I try to tell here is, yes, we can allow Pepsi, Coke, but stringent rules should be there so that health is not spoiled for the people. Thanks.
Good. That's what his observation is. We should allow as far as it doesn't spoil the health of the people. Yes, madam, what's your point?
Today topic, Pepsi and Coca-Cola, are they necessary in India or not? Water is very, very, very must in our people. 75% of water in our human body. Anna Hazare, 13 days without food, only take water alive. The Pepsi and Coca-Cola not necessary. These drinks are spoiled our human bodies and liver also. Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are only profitable motive. All earning money from Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies, they go for foreign countries investment. That's not our company, our country's development. That's their machinery oriented companies, but not workers and employment oriented. In rural areas, most of the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies spoil the groundwater, and also spoil the agriculture people's living things. So Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies, and also fertilizers company, another chemical companies, leather factories, all are spoil the groundwater and environmental. So Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies not necessary in India.
It should be banned. Okay. Okay, what's your point? What do you tell, sir? What's your point of view? Okay, you? Sit down, sit down. So, you say. You want to say any points?
These companies is spoil the weather and also shortage the water problems. That's why it's banned necessary to ban the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies. These companies is only US based company, only for a profit purpose the government allowed these companies. But so many persons is working on these companies, so that's why the government thinking that to allow that companies only. Water is important in every human being. What you drink more water means it gives the good health in your body. And water is necessary in agriculture peoples. It gives the profit in one of the fishermen, only depending on the catch the fishes and selling that.
Okay. What you have told is good. Could you tell your view?
Water is very important for a human being. Nearly 75% of our body contains water. And Pepsi and Coke consists of chemicals in it and pesticides in it, which is not good for health. And the government is to be blamed for giving license to Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies. Because of it, many of the people are getting affected of many diseases. And Pepsi and Coca-Cola company do not offer job opportunities to anybody because it consists of missionary oriented, and agriculture is the backbone of the India, and it gives more opportunities for the poor people, so that agriculture should be for the poor people.
Good, good. So these are the reasons which why we should ban Pepsi and Coke companies in India. Dear folks, take your group discussion book. It's on page number 249 to 255. Pepsi and Coca-Cola, are they a necessity in India or not? This is the topic. Before going in for topic, I should say one thing. Recently, it is given in papers that, you know, by using Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they mix with the pesticides and they spray it on the pests, and the next day they found pests have been dead. And one other thing also, they say you put your tooth or a nail inside the Pepsi and you see after 2 or 3 days it disappears, dissolves. So that is the power of the chemicals added in that Pepsi and Coke. And moreover, Tamil Nadu or India is suffering from water shortage, and is these type of plants necessary? That is Pepsi and Coca-Cola. This is the topic here. See the first point. See, we have given almost 18 points against using Pepsi and Coke, and in support of Pepsi and Coke we have 4 points. you see all the points, and based on these points and add your own points, and you are going to discuss. You see what's it given the first point. What is very important for human being? Nearly 75% of our body contains water. A man can live for 10 or more days by drinking water alone. Example, Anna Hazare took water for 13 days. Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies set their plants in rural India and take away the groundwater. So there is a shortage of water in rural India. What is the first point? Water is very important for human beings, and 70% of our body contains water. By drinking water alone, you can live for long days. Anna Hazare, a fighter against corruption, he took 13 days, he took water and survived. So what is here is Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are not necessary in rural India because they take away the groundwater, and water is short in villages. Number second point is, in India most of the towns and villages are short of water. By closing down these plants, people will get good water. Number 2 point, in India water shortage. By closing all the Pepsi and Coca-Colas, most of the companies are situated in rural area. By closing down, the rural people will get more drinking water. Number third point, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are a hazard to the health of the people. They take that water without much purification, add color and chemicals, and sell to the people. Third point is, Pepsi and Coca-Cola is bad for health. They take the impure water, add some color, and sell to the people. This is the third point. Fourth point, people cannot live by drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola. These two companies are MNC companies with earning profit alone as their motive. They get a huge profit by selling these products to the people, and they take the profits abroad. So it is a waste for India and should be banned. So one other point, the fourth point is, by drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola you cannot live. These Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are MNC companies. Origination is in US, and they make the profit here and take away the profit and go to their country. So it is not good. So it should be banned. Fifth point, these drinks not only create health related problems, but also they pollute the groundwater, ponds, rivers and lakes. Most of the plants are located at rural areas, and they create environmental problems in those areas. So fifth point is, most of these Pepsi and Coca-Cola plants are located in village areas. So what do? They pollute and bring harm to the environment. Ponds and lakes are spoiled. Number sixth point, the state government where the Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are located should follow Kerala government model. Kerala government banned Coca-Cola company from a village because of its poisonous waste products. In Kerala, they are, you know about Kerala, they are very concerned about the environment. So one company is closed down in Kerala, Pepsi company, because it's trying to spoil the environment. So every government should follow the state government of Kerala's policy. Next, seventh point, Coke and Pepsi spoil the health of the people. So the water used to produce these products should be diverted for human consumption. So it is bad for health. So it should be diverted for human consumption. Number 8, the central government and state government should be blamed for these Pepsi and Coca-Cola products. Government should not give licenses to these companies to start these products. And number 8th point is, it is the state government, it is the central government which is giving permission to start the companies. So the state government and central government should be blamed for starting these companies. And the 9th point, agriculture and agriculturists are the backbone of India, and they live in villages. Indian agriculturists suffer because of water shortage. Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are MNC companies where the management and staff get salary in lakhs. These companies don't provide enough job opportunities of people because they are machine oriented and not labor oriented factories. Agriculture provides job for the poor people. So water should be diverted for agriculturists. So 9th point is, agriculture and agriculturists are the backbone of Indian economy. So what happens? These plants are in villages, and what do in villages? These companies are MNC companies. They could give salary in lakhs together for the management, the people who are working, but they don't provide enough job opportunities because Pepsi and Coca-Cola are machine oriented companies and not labor oriented companies. So it is not going to be any use for villages. So it should be banned. So number 10th point is, Pepsi and Coca-Cola contain pesticides. Consumption of these products take the lives of human beings. The government should stop and cancel the business of these companies. So Pepsi and Coca-Cola have pesticides in it. So it should be banned. It is bad for health. Number 11th point, Coke and Pepsi has phosphoric acid in it. If you put your nail inside these Coke and Pepsi drinks, it will dissolve in 4 to 5 days, and also if you put a tooth bone inside a Pepsi and Coca-Cola, within 2 or 3 days it will dissolve. So, nail and tooth, if you put inside Coca-Cola and Pepsi, after few days you find it is dissolved. So, it is very harmful. Number 12, water has the immune power and against diseases. If you drink Pepsi and Coke instead of water, then the people will suffer from waterborne diseases. The government should have water purifying plants in each and every village instead of Coke and Pepsi plants. So, 12th point is, instead of having Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies, let each and every village have purification of water. So, most of the diseases we get are from water. So, bad water, see water, it increases the immune power. So, water develops the health of the people, and by drinking Pepsi it does not give any solution for problems. So, here instead of Coke and Pepsi, we should start various purification of water in every villages. So, number 13th point, Pepsi and Coke companies are profit oriented and they do not have a corporate social responsibilities. They spend crores of rupees for advertisements, making the cinema heroes, heroines and leading cricket players as their models, and cheat the people. The celebrities should not be models for these companies which cheat the fellow Indians. See, 13th point is Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Who comes for the advertisement? One Tendulkar comes, one famous cinema actor comes, actress comes. So, these people are profit oriented people, Pepsi and Coca-Colas, and they give crores as salary for the models. So, just for the water, the price of water is just 2 rupees or 3 rupees, but they sell it for 15 rupees and 20 rupees by using the cinema actor and actress. So, we should ban it. 14th point, in some towns and villages we can get water from shops to drink, but Coke and Pepsi are available. What, see, in many villages, in shops you do not find water, but you can find Pepsi and Coke. And 15th point, waterborne diseases like cholera affect the people because of drinking impure water. So, you get cholera because of drinking impure water. Water can dissolve all the substances and help digest the food. That is the reason all organisms in the earth like humans, birds, animals and plants need water. Nearly 70% of the water sources in village, and it affects the animals, birds and plants. So, by Pepsi and Coca-Cola using water, using chemicals, who are affected? Not only man is affected, it is the birds, it is the plants, it is the fish, all of them are affected. So, not only human beings. So, next 16th point, in the sun kingdom means what? Sun is in between, and earth, Mars, planet, Jupiter, Saturn, everything is revolving around sun. So, in the sun kingdom it is scientifically proved the water is now available only in earth. In sun kingdom, only in earth you can find water. No other planet has water. During summer we find people suffer due to the shortage of water. We find in India the state government and nations fighting for water. Government of India should ban Pepsi and Coke companies from India because they sell colored water and make huge profits. See, in state government we have a fight between Tamil Nadu has a problem with the Karnataka Kaveri water, and Tamil Nadu has a problem with Kerala. It is Mullai Periyar issue. Tamil Nadu has a problem with Andhra river water sharing. So, each and every state, each and every country have a problem with water. Why show importance to Pepsi and Coca-Cola? Why do not we stop them? Next, 17th point, we should not misuse water and make Pepsi, Coke, Bisleri companies to start their factories in India. So, water should be saved and conserved for the future generation. These Coke and Pepsi companies can take the sea water, purify it and make the Pepsi and Coke soft drinks rather than using the village water. Let us say to Pepsi and Coca-Cola, okay, if you want to start Pepsi and Coca-Cola company, you go near to the sea, take the sea water, desalinate it, you invest the money on desalination, and after that you make Pepsi and Coca-Cola. It is not a problem for us, but do not use the scarce water which is in villages. It is meant for the people to drink. Let they invest on desalination plants rather than using ready-made water from the rivers and lakes and ponds and underground. So, this is topic 4, and here next 18th point, banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies and its products will bring down the liquor addicts and the consumption of liquor by the people. Liquor needs Pepsi and Coke to be mixed while drinking alcohol. See, by banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola, people will avoid using brandy, whiskey, whatnot, liquors, because most of the youngsters, young boys and girls, they mix the Coca-Cola, and with the taste of Coca-Cola and Pepsi they consume the liquor to get intoxication. So, by banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they don't get the feeling to drink liquor because they get a vomiting sensation. So, let us ban Pepsi and Coca-Cola so that liquor consumption may be reduced. So, these are the points, 18 points, banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Number 1 point, for Coca-Cola, there should be Coca-Cola and Pepsi. What are the points? There are not only Pepsi and Coke companies, we find many dyeing factories, chemical factories and fertilizer companies, etc. So, for supporting in Pepsi and Coca-Cola, not only Pepsi and Coca-Cola is spoiling the atmosphere, it is the dyeing factory, it is the fertilizer factories and many factories, chemical factories polluting the groundwater, using pure water for purifying of their products. All the above said companies pollute river water and groundwater. So, banning Pepsi and Coke companies does not solve water problems. So, by banning just Pepsi and Coca-Cola does not solve the water problems. Next point, Pepsi and Coke companies bring good job opportunities for the rural and city people. The wholesaler and retailers get profit and the government gets good amount as tax revenue by excise duty and sales tax. So, in support of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, this by selling Pepsi and Coca-Cola, by manufacturing, the central government gets excise duty, that is production cost. By selling, state government gets sales tax. So, by banning Pepsi and Coca-Cola, the government is losing the money. Number 3rd point, Pepsi and Coke are multinational companies. In this globalized economy, if we ban these companies and products, multinational companies will feel hesitant to invest in India. Suppose if we ban Pepsi and Coca-Cola, don't come to India, what will happen? Many American companies will avoid coming to India. So, it will be a bad name for India. So, Pepsi and Coke should be allowed to run their companies here. 4th point, many of the businessmen and corporate people consume Coke and Pepsi. By banning them, they may suffer. Moreover, during parties and functions, liquor is consumed. By mixing with the Pepsi and Coke, consuming liquor without Coke will spoil our liver. So, our body parts will get spoiled because liquor with Pepsi and Coca-Cola will certain amount, certain degree, it will save the certain organs inside our body. So, MNC companies people come here to India and they love to drink Pepsi and Coca-Cola. By banning this, by consuming liquor, mixing of liquor and drinking can be get spoiled and their liver and everything will be getting spoiled. So, we should allow Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So, these are the topics, 18 points for and 4 points against. So, I leave to the floor to discuss. Yes, sir, start.
Water is very much essential in all human beings. Nowadays, Pepsi and Coca-Cola companies are available in everywhere. So, in our people, they used to drink Coke and Pepsi very much because there are so many advertisements are there. So, they started using like Pepsi and Coke like that. In rural areas also they are using Pepsi and Coke. But compared to rural and urban areas, in city they are using much. So that's not a good thing. It's because Pepsi and Coca-Cola are affected many people. Only water, drinking water is very much essential. We can live long. Only if started drinking normal water, we can live long. Otherwise, cannot.
Yes, madam. What is your opinion regarding
Pepsi and Coca-Cola? Are they necessary in India? All the people and particularly youngsters are using regularly to mix the liquor and drinks the Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
Okay, you want to go against the topic. What is that? What is your point of view?
Water is very important in our human being. A man can live for 10 or more days by drinking water alone. For example, Anna Hazare took the water 13 days. MNC companies are drinking water manufactured by the groundwater. So the groundwater so the agriculture people are agriculture people have a shortage of water. In MNC companies are Pepsi and Coca-Cola without purification, add colors, chemicals and all those things added. It also added the phosphoric acid. For example, in nail inside the bottle, we whether check the inside the nail inside the bottle. After within 2 or 3 days it will be dissolved. We follow the government of Kerala, because Kerala government fully banned the Pepsi and Coca-Cola, because environment fully spoiled in the multinational companies. The Tamil Nadu government should be ban the MNC companies. Not only Pepsi and Coca-Cola ban does not solve the water problem. Many of the companies, the dyeing factories, chemical fertilizer, it's also pollute the water. Sometimes it will be a machinery oriented. It's not a labor oriented. So that agriculturist people very spoiling the people, spoiling the life. When we are reducing the Pepsi and Coca-Cola, down the people for adding the liquor people, drinking the liquor people, so that government should be ban the Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
Okay, what is your point of view?
According to my point, water is most important in a human being. Every man wake up on the bed, use it in water, not Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Water is gives to the health and wealth also. Pepsi, Coca-Cola only profit purpose. This one is produced the government. Water is our India is depending on most on agriculture. Agriculture people mostly depending on water. Water is given to the electricity and food items also. The fishermen depending on water. They get the good profit on the catch the fishing and selling and buying.
What's your point?
Water is very important for human being. A man can live without water, with water more than 10 days. Closing.
No, you tell your own points. Dear. Is it Coca-Cola and Pepsi? Is it necessary for India?
No.
It's not necessary. Why? Why do you think so?
It is not necessary because most of the agriculture people depend upon the water, and if the Coca-Cola and Pepsi companies use the water, then they don't get water to cultivate the plants. And then they use a lot of pesticides in it, which is not good, and they use lot of chemicals.
So you are for not using Pepsi and Coca-Cola should be banned. Okay, what's your point, young lady? What do you think?
Water is very important for human beings, because some special places I think water is free. In the airport, railway station, and some places water is free, but Coke is Pepsi not free. So world and government very important for water. So
okay, that's what a point is. Very good. It's quite interesting topic. Pepsi and Coca-Cola, should it be banned in India or not? Because we fight for water. So நண்பர்களே, இப்பொழுது பெப்சி அண்ட் கோகோகோலா இந்தியாவிலே தேவையா இல்லையா என்கிற கூட்டு விவாதம் மொத்தம் 18 பாயிண்ட்கள் எழுதியிருக்கிறோம். அது கொக்கோ கோலாவும் பெப்சியையும் தடை செய்ய வேண்டும் கண்டிப்பாக என்று. 4 பாயிண்ட் கொக்கோ கோலாவும் பெப்சியும் கண்டிப்பாக இந்தியாவில் இருக்க வேண்டும் என்கிற காரணத்திற்காக நாம் சொல்லப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. ஆங்கிலத்திலே ஒவ்வொரு வாக்கியமும் கொடுத்திருக்கிறோம். இந்த வாக்கியத்தை வைத்தும் நீங்களும் கொஞ்சம் பாயிண்ட்களை ஆட் பண்ணி நீங்கள் இந்த கூட்டு விவாதத்திலே காரசாரமாக விவாதிக்க வேண்டும். உங்களுடைய ஆங்கில திறன் சோதிக்கப்படுகிறது உங்களுடைய விவாத திறமையினால். ஸோ இந்த பாயிண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள். இந்த மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு தலைப்பிலும் நாம் ஒவ்வொரு பாயிண்ட்ஸ் கொடுத்திருக்கிறோம். முதல் பாயிண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உடம்புல 75% தண்ணீர் சத்து தான் இருக்கிறது. அதே போன்று இங்கே லஞ்சத்துக்கு எதிராக ஊழலுக்கு எதிராக போராடிய அண்ணா ஹசாரே அவர்கள் 13 நாட்கள் தண்ணீர் மட்டும் குடித்து கொண்டு வாழ்ந்தார். தண்ணீரை குடித்து கொண்டு காலங்கள் வாழலாம் என்கிற ஒரு உதாரணமாக அவர் திகழ்கிறார். மேலும் கிராமத்திலே அந்த அடி நில தண்ணீர் மிக மிக முக்கியமானது. ஸோ இந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா ஆரம்பிப்பதனால அந்த நிலத்தடி நீர் பாழாகி விடுகிறது. ஸோ இந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோலா நிறுவனங்கள் அநேகமாக கிராமத்தில் தான் ஆரம்பிக்கிறார்கள். ஸோ இதை தடை செய்ய வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லியிருக்கிறோம். 3வது பாயிண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அது உடல் நலத்துக்கு கேடு. 4வது பாயிண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இதெல்லாம் எம்என்சி கம்பெனிஸ். எம்என்சி கம்பெனிஸ்னால் சர்வதேச நிறுவனங்கள். அவர்களுக்கு லாபம் தான் ஒரே குறிக்கோளாக இருக்கிறது. இந்த லாப பணத்தை எல்லாம் எடுத்துக்கொண்டு அமெரிக்கா சென்று விடுவார்கள் அல்லது தங்கள் வெளிநாடுகளுக்கு எடுத்துக்கொண்டு சென்று விடுவார்கள் என்று தலைப்பிலே இது வேண்டாம், பெப்சி வேண்டாம் என்று சொல்கிறோம். அடுத்ததாக உடல் ரீதியாக பிரச்சனைகளை மட்டும் கொடுப்பதோடு அல்லாமல் பெப்சியும் கொக்கோ கோலாவும் இந்த குளங்கள், ஏரிகள், ஆறுகள் இவைகளை எல்லாம் பால்படுத்துகிறது. அது சுற்றுப்புற சூழ்நிலையையும் கெடுக்கிறது என்கிறது. 6வது பாயிண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா முதல்ல ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட், மத்திய அரசும் மாநில அரசும் இவைகள் தான் இதுக்கு பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா நிறுவனங்கள் ஆரம்பிப்பதற்கு அனுமதி அளிக்கிறார்கள். ஸோ அவைகளை முதலே மத்திய அரசையும் மாநில அரசையும் நாம் எச்சரிக்க வேண்டும். 7வதாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது இந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலாவுக்காக கொடுக்கக்கூடிய நீர் ஆகாரங்களை மனிதன் நுகர்வதற்காக திருப்பி உபயோகப்படுத்த வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக என்ன பார்த்துருக்கோம், ஸ்டேட் கவர்மெண்ட்டும் சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட்டும் லைசன்ஸை கேன்சல் பண்ணணும். அடுத்ததாக இந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா கம்பெனிகள் கிராமப்புறங்களிலே இருக்கிறது. கிராமங்கள் விவசாயிகள் நிறைந்த இடம். விவசாயிகள் இந்தியாவின் முதுகெலும்பாக இருக்கிறார்கள். ஸோ இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அங்கே வேலை செய்யக்கூடிய கோக் பெப்சி கம்பெனியில் வேலை செய்யக்கூடியவர்களுக்கு லட்சக்கணக்கான ரூபாயை மாத வருமானமாக கொடுக்கிறார்கள். ஆனால் அங்கே வேலை வாய்ப்புகள் விவசாயிகளுக்கு உண்மையாக கிடைக்கிறதா என்று பார்த்தால் அதுவும் கிடையாது. ஏனென்றால் அந்த கோக்கும் பெப்சியும் செய்யும் நிறுவனங்கள் மிஷின் மூலமாகத்தான் தங்கள் தொழிலை உற்பத்தி செய்கிறார்கள், தங்கள் பொருளை உற்பத்தி செய்கிறார்கள், தொழிலை நடத்துகிறார்கள். அங்கே மனிதர்களுக்கு வேலை இல்லை. ஸோ வேலை வாய்ப்பும் இல்லாத ஒரு தொழிலை எதற்காக கிராமத்திலே ஏற்படுத்த வேண்டும்? அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது மனிதனுக்கு பல பெஸ்டிசைட்ஸ் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலாவின் பூச்சிக்கொல்லி சத்துக்கள் இருக்கிறது. பூச்சிக்கொல்லி சக்திகள் அந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா அந்த பொருட்களில் இருக்கிறது. அதை நுகர்வதனால், அதை உபயோகப்படுத்துவதால் மனிதனுடைய உடல்நிலை பாதிக்கப்படுகிறது என்று சொல்கிறோம். அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது உங்களுடைய பல்லை எடுத்து அந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலாக்குள்ளே போட்டு விட்டீர்கள் என்றால் 4-5 நாட்கள் கழித்து பார்க்கும் பொழுது அது கரைந்து விடுகிறது. அதே போது நெகத்தை எடுத்து உள்ளே போட்டுவிட்டால் அது 2-3 நாட்களிலே கரைந்து விடுகிறது. அந்த அளவு கரைக்கக்கூடிய சக்தியை பெற்றிருக்கிறது இந்த பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா. அது பூச்சிக்கொல்லி மருந்தை போன்று. அதை நமக்கு தேவையா என்று நாம் கேட்கிறோம். அடுத்ததாக தண்ணீர் குடிப்பதனால் நோய் எதிர்ப்பு சக்தி அதிகமாக இருக்கிறது. ஆனால் பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா குடிப்பதனால நோய் எதிர்ப்பு சக்தி அதிகமாகிறதா என்று பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால் இல்லவே இல்லை என்று தான் சொல்ல வேண்டும். ஸோ கிராமப்புறங்களிலே ஒவ்வொரு பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா ஆரம்பிக்கிறதுக்கு பதிலாக ஒவ்வொரு கிராமத்திலும் தண்ணீர் சுத்தப்படுத்தக்கூடிய ஒரு நிலையத்தை தமிழ்நாடு அரசும் அல்லது இந்திய அரசும் மாநில அரசுகளும் ஏற்படுத்தி கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லப்படுகிறது. அடுத்ததாக பெப்சி அண்ட் கொக்கோ கோலா கம்பெனிகள் சமுதாய கடமைகள் அவர்களுக்கு இல்லை. அவர்கள் என்ன பண்ணுகிறார்கள் என்றால் தலை சிறந்த சினிமா நடிகைகள், கிரிக்கெட் விளையாட்டு வீரர்களை கோடிக்கணக்கிலே பணம் கொடுத்து அவர்களை விளம்பரப்படுத்தி மக்களை ஏமாற்றி பொருட்களை வாங்க வைக்கிறார்கள். ஸோ அவர்கள் லாபமே ஒரே கண்ணோட்டமாக இருந்து சக இந்தியர்களை ஏமாற்றுகிறார்கள். ஸோ இதை தடை செய்ய வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக ஒவ்வொரு கிராமத்துக்குள்ளேயும் போனதுன்னா சில கிராமத்துக்குள்ளே பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா கடைகளிலே கிடைக்கிறது, ஆனால் தண்ணீர் கிடைப்பதில்லை. ஸோ அதை தடை செய்ய வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது இந்த தண்ணீரினால் மனிதன் மட்டும் தண்ணீரை பெப்சி கொக்கோ கோலா கம்பெனிகள் எடுப்பதனால் மனிதனுக்கு மட்டும் தண்ணீர் பற்றாக்குறை ஏற்படுவதில்லை. பறவைகள், விலங்குகள், கடல்வாழ் இனங்கள் அல்லது ஆற்றிலே இருக்கக்கூடிய மீன்கள், அவைகளுக்கு கூட சுத்தமான தண்ணீர் கிடைப்பதில்லை. அடுத்ததாக நீங்கள் பார்க்கும் பொழுது 16வது பாயிண்ட், சூரிய குடும்பத்திலே சூரியன் நடுவிலே இருக்கிறான், புதன், ராகு, கேது என்று 9 பிளானட் சுற்றி கொண்டிருக்கிறது. எந்த ஒரு கிரகத்திலும் இல்லாத ஒரு வசதி இந்த பூமியிலே இருக்கிறது. என்ன என்று பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால், பூமியிலே மட்டும்தான் தண்ணீர் இருக்கிறது. ஸோ இந்த தண்ணீரை நாம் பக்குவமாக பயன்படுத்தி கொள்ள வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக வருங்காலத்திலே போர்கள் இந்த தண்ணீருக்காக நடைபெற வாய்ப்பிருக்கிறது. மாநில அரசுகளுக்கு இடையே தண்ணீர் பிரச்சனைகள், மத்திய அரசுகளுக்கு இடையிலே தண்ணீர் பிரச்சனைகள். ஸோ இந்த தண்ணீர் பிரச்சனைகளால் பெரிய பிரச்சனையாக இருக்கிறது. இந்த நேரத்தில் பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலாவும் தேவைதானா என்று நாம் பார்க்கிறோம். அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது பெப்சி, கோகோகோலா தண்ணி அவர்களுக்கு செலவு செய்வதை விட வருங்கால சந்ததியர்களுக்கு இப்பொழுதே நாம் கேன் தண்ணீரை வாங்குகிறோம். கேன் என்றால் என்ன? விலை கொடுத்து காசு கொடுத்து பக்கெட்டாக தண்ணீர் வாங்கி கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். எதிர்கால சந்ததியர்கள் வாழ்வதற்கு தண்ணீர் மிக மிக அவசியமானது. ஆகையால் தண்ணீரை சேமித்து எதிர்கால சந்ததியர்களுக்கு நாம் வழங்குவோம். அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது பெப்சி, கோகோகோலாவை தடை செய்வது மூலமாக இப்பொழுது அநேக இளைஞர்கள் பெப்சியை மதுவிலே கலந்து குடிக்கிறார்கள். அப்போ அந்த பெப்சியினுடைய வாசனை இருக்கிற காரணத்தினாலே அந்த மதுவை முழுவதுமாக குடித்து விடுகிறார்கள். அப்போ இவர்கள் மதுவை மட்டும் கொடுத்து பெப்சி இல்லாமல் தண்ணீர் எதை கலந்து குடித்தால் அவர்கள் வாந்தி எடுக்கக்கூடிய தன்மை வந்து விடுகிறது. ஸோ இப்போ இதை தடை செய்வதன் மூலமாக, பெப்சி கோகோகோலாவை தடை செய்வதன் மூலமாக மக்கள் மது அருந்தும் பழக்கத்துக்கு, இளைஞர்கள் பொதுவாக மது பழகும் பழக்கத்திற்கு ஆரம்பத்தில் ஒரு தடை ஏற்படுகிறது. ஸோ இதை பெப்சியின் கோகோகோலாவையும் தடை செய்ய வேண்டும். அடுத்ததாக நீங்கள் பார்க்கும் பொழுது ஆதரவாக பெப்சியின் கோகோகோலாவும் கம்பெனியும் கண்டிப்பாக இந்தியா போன்ற நாட்டிலே இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று காரணத்தில் எதை சொல்ல வேண்டும் என்றால், இந்தியாவிலே பெப்சி கோகோகோலா மட்டும் தண்ணீரை எடுத்து மாசுபடுத்துவதில்லை. உரத் தொழிற்சாலைகள், கெமிக்கல் தொழிற்சாலைகள், அப்புறம் சிமெண்ட் தொழிற்சாலைகள், அப்புறம் டையிங் ஃபேக்ட்ரிஸ் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய திருப்பூரிலே பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால் ஆயிரக்கணக்கான டையிங் ஃபேக்ட்ரிஸ் இருக்கிறது. அவைகளும் அசுத்தப்படுத்துகிறது தண்ணீரை, நிலத்தை நீரை மாசுபடுத்துகிறது. அங்கே எங்கே கோகோகோலாவும் பெப்சியும் வருகிறது. ஸோ கோகோகோலா பெப்சியும் மட்டும் தடை செய்வது மட்டும் ஒரு விமோச்சனம் அல்ல, மற்ற நிறுவனங்களையும் தடை செய்ய வேண்டும். ஸோ அது பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலா மட்டும் காரணம் என்று சொல்ல முடியாது என்று சொல்லியிருக்கிறோம். அடுத்ததாக பார்க்கும் பொழுது பெப்சி கோகோகோலா இருப்பதனால் அநேகம் பேருக்கு வேலை கிடைக்கிறது. மொத்த வியாபாரிகளுக்கு வேலை கிடைக்கிறது, சில்லறை வியாபாரிகளுக்கு வேலை கிடைக்கிறது. அடுத்தது அரசாங்கத்துக்கு, மத்திய அரசுக்கு உற்பத்தி வரி வருகிறது, மாநில அரசுக்கு விற்பனை வரி வருகிறது. ஸோ அதற்கு ஆதரவாக நாம் பெப்சி கோகோகோலா கண்டிப்பாக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்கிறோம். மூன்றாவது பாயிண்ட் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா என்றால், பல சர்வதேச நிறுவனங்கள் அமெரிக்காவிலிருந்தும், ஐரோப்பிய கண்டத்திலிருந்தும், ஆஸ்திரேலியாவிலிருந்தும், கொரியாவிலிருந்தும், ஜப்பானிலிருந்தும் பல நிறுவனங்கள் இந்தியாவிலே, குறிப்பாக தமிழ்நாட்டிலே நிறுவனங்களை ஆரம்பித்து கொண்டு இருக்கிறார்கள். இப்போ ஆரம்பிக்கும் பொழுது இந்த சர்வதேச நிறுவனங்கள் மத்தியிலே பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலாவும் ஒரு சர்வதேச நிறுவனம், அதை மட்டும் தடை செய்யும் பொழுது இந்தியாவிற்கு ஒரு அவப்பெயர் உண்டாகிறது. ஸோ சர்வதேச நிறுவனங்கள் இந்தியாவிலே நிறுவனங்களை ஆரம்பிப்பதற்கு கொஞ்சம் தயக்கப்படுவார்கள். அடுத்ததாக கண்டிப்பாக நாம் வேண்டும் பெப்சி கோகோகோலா. என்ன காரணத்தினால் என்று பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால், மதுவை குடிக்கும்போது அதில் பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலாவும் கலந்து குடிக்கும் பொழுது, மதுவுடன் பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலாவும் சேர்ந்து கொடுக்கும் பொழுது உங்களுடைய லிவர் என்று சொல்லக்கூடிய கல்லீரல் பாதிப்படைவதில்லை. அது கொஞ்சம் அதனுடைய கெடுதல் தன்மை பார்த்தீர்கள் என்றால் மெதுவாகத்தான் கெடுகிறது. ஸோ இந்த பெப்சி கோகோகோலா இருக்கும் பொழுது இந்த சர்வதேச நிறுவனங்களில் வரக்கூடியவர்கள், பணக்காரர்கள், வியாபாரிகள், இவர்களெல்லாம் என்ன செய்வார்கள்? பெப்சியுடன் மதுவையும் சேர்ந்து குடிப்பதனாலே அவர்களுடைய லிவர் பாதிப்படையாது. ஸோ பெப்சியும் கோகோகோலாவும் கண்டிப்பாக இந்தியாவிலே, குறிப்பாக கிராமப்புறத்திலே அவர்கள் அந்த தொழிற்சாலைகளை தொடர்ந்து செய்ய வேண்டும். இதுதான் இந்த டாபிக். இதை பேஸ் பண்ணி நீங்கள் பேசுகிறீர்கள். இந்த கூட்டு விவாதம் இனிமையாக நடந்து முடிந்துவிட்டது. நன்றி. தேங்க்யூ.